I've been talking and saying thinking people heard me. Like, for real. Like, I've been engaged in conversation. Did not know.
Just been in purgatory thinking we're all ignoring you.
Yeah, welcome to Highly Questionable, where I've been on mute for like 15 minutes and had no idea. Izzy, SquarePants.
Are the Clippers a bunch of losers, or is Luka just that good?
Oh, the producer is putting his own voice on calling the Clippers a bunch of losers. Luka Doncic was 16 for 29 from the floor, right? He dominated the Clippers. And one thing you would have said about the Clippers coming into this series with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, at least they got somebody to guard Luka. Man, it's not really working out that way. Now, here's what I have to ask, because I was talking to my buddy Nick Wright about this today. Are the Clippers losers, or is this just a really poorly constructed roster? Like, they gave up the world to get Paul George. They have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George up top. After that, who else did anything worth a damn in that game? Like, Reggie Jackson took some shots because those other two guys literally can't take them all. But you go up and down the box score and you look at it. This is a team that is really, really thin. That's got Kawhi Leonard, who is a number one guy, but physically seems to be fading. And Paul George, who's probably a number three guy who's masquerading as a number two guy. So I don't know if they losers, but they look like they about to lose.
Well, if you look at those complementary pieces, they're supposed to be good enough to be just that, the complementary pieces, especially when you're getting 40 plus from Kawhi and a solid, 28 double-double from Paul George there. But I do think the answer is basically that Luka might just be too good. And like, you look at that one-legged three-pointer that he hit at the end of the third quarter, and it just makes you think, A, he practices those things all the time, and why not just do in a game what you do in practice if you're that good? But even when you look at him against Kawhi Leonard, and it doesn't seem to bother him because he's so big, and when he's making those shots, it doesn't matter who's covering him unless it's maybe Taco Fall. So I do think that Luka sort of lives for this. He wants to extend his time in the playoffs for the first time, and I don't think it matters who's in front of him. And so when you get his help, like Tim Hardaway Jr. having big games, then yeah, this team can beat anybody. So I'm going to go ahead and say Luka's that good, although the Clippers have a lot of thinking to do when it comes to this roster, because you can't not win when you get those two performances from your main two guys.
Yeah, I think this is a lot more about who's back in this for the Mavs now, because we know in Luka's 8 playoff games, all against the Clippers, he's been above 30 points 5 times. So he's been doing this, but now you got healthy Kristaps. You have, quite frankly, a healthier Luka than you did last year. And so all these things make sense, but it doesn't seem like it matters who's in the jerseys. There's just always something, here we go again, about the Clippers finding a way to do all this. Because Bomani mentioned it. You got a team with leadership. Like, you're usually taking your directives as the rest of those teams, the rest of those role players, from the guys in leadership. And so you've got Kawhi, who's going to give you nothing but the blank faced all the time. Paul George, who everyone has questions about this time of year. And then, man, when you have the only guy on your team with some edge in Pat Bev, not just getting beat, this to me is certainly more about the Mavs in a basketball sense, but we zoom out to that 30,000-foot view, and this just looks like the same old Clippers.
Yeah, and Izzy, here's the thing about them being complementary players. The problem is they don't get any easy shots, and they don't have anybody other than Rondo who gets shots for anybody else. And it's 2021. You can only be asking for so much out of Rondo. But Golic, you mentioned it. Patrick Beverley's out here getting lit up by Luka. And what is Patrick Beverley here to do other than be really, really annoying? This is what you guys got. You might need to jump in the time machine and elbow him every time he gets the ball and hope he falls apart. Because otherwise, it looked like they might get that broom to the booty.
Are you convinced that everything is all good again with the Lakers?
All right, so the Lakers are pretty much in control all of Game 2 against Phoenix. The Suns made it interesting late, but LeBron came out and had one of those LeBron games, and Anthony Davis, after a game where it seemed like he was going backward too much, attempted 21 free throws in this game against Phoenix. Now, does that mean everything's okay with the Lakers? I don't even know how Chris Paul can put a shirt on right now, let alone play NBA basketball in the playoffs. I don't know if this speaks to something good that's going on with the Lakers. It looks like the Phoenix Suns got that Chris Paul injury luck that seems to hit him every year now for the last 7 years or so, and that's what's doing them in as much as anything else. But it was hard for me to come out of that feeling really optimistic about the way the Lakers played. Like, we know this. If Anthony Davis plays really well and LeBron plays really well, the Lakers are going to win. That doesn't really tell me anything new about them.
Which I actually think is the best possible news if you're a Lakers fan, right? Like, you were in control of that game, and it absolutely was more about the injury to a key pivotal player on the Suns side. But LeBron James still not looking 100% pushing off that ankle. Like, regardless of him hitting a bunch of fadeaway shots like the LeBron we're used to, we still haven't seen the freight train toward the rim. Anthony Davis locking back into things, looking much more engaged. 3 blocks on the night, especially that pivotal one down the stretch on DeAndre Ayton. So this seems to be building in the right way to where, because of the injuries on the other side, I think the Lakers are going to get the win ultimately in this series. And they're going to get time for this unit that, especially down the stretch of the season, didn't get much chance to gel together. More and more chances to build this. Like, this is the textbook LeBron James postseason slow roll that it feels like we're starting now.
Yeah, I was encouraged by a few things. One, they didn't actually just do what everybody said they were supposed to do, which was put Anthony Davis in the 5 and ignore your other 5s. Nope. Andre Drummond, double-double, had a good game. Marc Gasol, 20 minutes. Not Montrezl Harrell. Montrezl didn't play at all. Marc Gasol gets the 20 minutes, and you still get Anthony Davis getting that type of performance. And you hear LeBron James talking about after the game, hey, I knew Anthony Davis was going to do this because I saw his mentality, I saw his demeanor. You knew he was going to do that because you were going to get him the ball over and over again. And that's what he also said. He's like, hey, that's the guy that's going to carry me, so I'm going to go ahead and give him the ball over and over again, and I know he's going to have a bounce-back game. So that part's encouraging. They can adjust. They can play differently, not the way everybody thinks they can play, and still beat Phoenix. But that is not Phoenix without Chris Paul. And I cannot imagine being Chris Paul and just being that level of frustrated. Like, watching the replay, you don't even know how he got hurt, but yet he got significantly hurt and can't do what he did all regular season, which was be great. And so I can't imagine what it's like to fight off the frustration being Chris Paul. I know as a Suns fan, you've got to say, you've got to be kidding me. We were hoping this would be the year he could stay healthy throughout the playoffs.
Hold on, not just the frustration. That's old right there. How'd you get hurt? I don't know. I was just out here playing basketball and then it happened. But let me ask you guys this. Do you have any idea who's going to win the West? Like, I have never been less confident about saying I had any idea who was going to win a conference in the NBA. Like, you may not be right, but you normally got an idea of who you think is going to win. I have no idea who's going to win the West.
I hurt my Achilles just landing the other day.
Dude, I tried to run quickly to catch a car the other day, and I thought both of my Achilles were going to tear.
I have to brace every morning to pick up clothing off the ground so that my low back is not bearing the brunt of my fat torso. Like, it is humbling.
Who would make more sense to trade for Julio Jones? The Patriots or the Titans?
All right, so my man Jonathan Jones at CBS Sports is reporting that the word on these streets is that Julio would like to go either to the Patriots or to the Titans now that he's made it clear he does not want to go back to that narcotic in Atlanta. Now, which one makes more sense? I don't really know. Like, one thing about the Titans is they figured out how to put together an explosive passing attack, but they don't use a whole lot of wide receivers. Like, they like to play a lot of old school football, and A.J. Brown looks like what Julio Jones used to be, and we're not sure what Julio Jones is going to be even in this season that's coming up. What I don't quite get from Julio is, yeah, Bill Belichick is a really, really, really good coach. But we don't know what Mac Jones is going to be hitting on, and we have no idea what Cam Newton's going to look like throwing the football next year. And it's cold up there. It's a lot different than Atlanta and Foley, young man, and Foxborough. Why do you want to go there? I'm just struggling to understand now. Can somebody help me out?
I mean, it's quite the toss-up here, I would think. And only because I guess I've been scarred by the Ryan Tannehill experience here in Miami over, 7 years. And so it would seem like from the outside looking in, it would be obvious you go to the Titans because you have the quarterback that's had more recent success. And frankly, they lost some skill position players, so they could use some help there. And they have a complementary player in A.J. Brown that can, on the other side of the ball, okay, you have a balance there. With the Patriots, you're just banking on the idea that Belichick's going to get you wins somehow because you don't know what the quarterback situation is or whether you don't know if it's good for you as a wide receiver, more importantly. And on the other side, you've got Nelson Aguilar, which I'm going to go ahead and take A.J. Brown over him. So I would lean Titans, even though I don't really have full confidence that Ryan Tannehill can find Julio Jones that often because we're only a couple seasons removed from him leading the league in yardage and yards per game. So he still has plenty left in him.
Yeah, this is the interesting part for me because I don't know who to attribute a lot of the success to now that we've split Arthur Smith and Ryan Tannehill, right? Like now that he resides in Atlanta, this heavily play action, very quarterback friendly offense that they've been running. And I know they promoted within, but it's still a variable that you've got to consider for a team that's going to play next to no defense and give you no kind of help. Versus right now, that seems like a fairly interesting time to buy in on the Patriots. Like, we talk about all the things we're unsure of, and that's still a team that went 7-9 with a bare cupboard last year. You go into a spot where they got a type, like aging veteran Hall of Famers are what the Patriots tend to do and do well. You know Bill's going to at least take care of you, and it seems like, all right, this offense and what we can expect there with the coordinator, with the things involved, like, hell, you at least know you're going to go in there and be the guy. Like, you just listed off all those receivers. There's going to be no shortage of touches. There's going to be no shortage of, I think, an understanding of at least what you're walking into with that team. You could argue the division, much more difficult now that the Dolphins have come up, and certainly what the Bills are in the AFC East. But again, with what the Patriots were last year with nothing, this is an interesting time to go in, and it would certainly fit the mold of what they've done this offseason versus the Titans that are going to have to think about paying A.J. Brown here in the near future and have already spent a pretty hefty sum of money.
All I'm saying is this. Playing for the Patriots seems to only be worth it if you're winning Super Bowls. There ain't a whole lot of fun to it. Did I mention that it's really cold up there? Did I mention that ain't a whole lot of fun to it? And it ain't Tom Brady there anymore. Like, if you want to do that, that's cool. But you have to think the Patriots are a lot better than I think they are to make it worth it to go there if you got a chance to go anywhere else.
Up next on HQ.
Run that last clip again, the poor Zing.
Well, this is a reminder of how life changes when you got to have everything work for show or for go. Like, he did years of doing it all for go, for it being functional and all that good stuff. This is why you see every former retired fat person who did it professionally for a while always go the other way, because at some point, yeah, you got to do it for go, but it's not fun being big for that long. It's way more fun when you can walk down the street and clothes fit and you can buy them off the rack.
Do you question who got it worse, Blake Griffin or Kristaps Porzingis?
Okay, is there any greater indictment of the Celtics season than the fact that they got boat raced last night by the Nets, and we're not even going to actually talk about it? We're just going to give you a funny video. So we're going to start off with Kemba Walker here and Blake Griffin. Oh no. That looked like the Blake Griffin I was afraid that they were going to get when they bought him out. He's been better than that, but whew. Don't try to get back up. You know what I'm saying?
That's my point, Bo. He tried to get back up and was still skating as he was getting back up. Stay down. Take the L.
All right, now.
Then perimeter players who give him a hard inside-out dribble. So he's kind of like, yeah, that was bound to happen to me.
Oh, no.
Blake Griffin was Mr. Athleticism. He's supposed to be able to guard somebody and then to try hard again and then try to get... Oh, Blake Griffin definitely got it worse.
Hold up. Before we get to Golic, run that last clip again. The poor Zing.
Immediately got us that shot of the entire Clippers bench clowning him in the background of that one. That's the real tall for a while and learned at an early age how to fall. Blake Griffin is too athletic, and he has been aging in a way that is difficult for him to comprehend. And so he's still trying to fall like an athlete. He's got to learn to fall like the rest of us did.
Poor Paul George, though. You do that, you have a great game. I still saw something on Twitter yesterday. Yeah, I got back on for a little bit. Got something on Twitter yesterday that says his shooting performances in the playoffs look like tour dates. It's just 1, 22, 28.
Do you question if CC Sabathia looks like he could still play?
All right, so a few things about CC Sabathia. One, he's now working as a podcaster, does one with Ryan Rucco. He does a good job. Number two, really athletic dude. Like, at his peak, he was a very good basketball player when he was younger. He was a great hitter when he played baseball. That little stretch he was with the Brewers, he was hitting the ball out the park. He's also a really big dude. So I am fearful of what this picture is going to look like. Oh, whoa!
Yup!
Didn't know
Amazing.
that. I thought, I know the way this show goes. Normally, y'all want to pick on people. Damn.
Nope, just go in the opposite direction. This to me speaks to, like, I don't have a Hall of Fame vote in baseball, but if I did, I wouldn't put any steroid users or reputed steroid users in, because if you could look like the way CeCe did when he played, and then look like this now and be as good as he was then, you don't need steroids. So those guys need to stay the heck out of the Hall of Fame. I'm actually going to give more credit to CC Sabathia for playing the way he did. And now he just walks by like blood drives and just shows off the veins. It's like, look how easy this would be.
Yeah, take your pick. Looks like a subway map on his arms. It's incredible. Well, this is a reminder of how life changes when you got to have everything work for show or for go. Like, he did years of doing it all for go, for it being functional and all that good stuff. This is why you see every former retired fat person who did it professionally for a while always go the other way, because at some point, yeah, you got to do it for go, but it's not fun being big for that long. It's way more fun when you can walk down the street and clothes fit and you can buy them off the rack. So I applaud my former large brother in arms here for making it work.
Hold on, put this picture back up, because I feel like I got the same question as everybody else. Who that?
Yeah.
Where they know him from? I'm looking at it, I don't know who any other people are, but I want to know where they know him from.
Tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Game 2, Hawks and Knicks.
Oh, yeah, man. This is good. We got the mayor taking shots at Trae Young, and I don't know what to say because the mayor said the same thing about Trae Young that I said, and agreeing with the mayor is never a way to make friends in this city. Anyway, Trae Young trying to be the new Reggie Miller. We're going to watch him hit this game winner, and then he's going to go into the tunnel and have some more to say. Dun, dun, dun. I mean, one thing I give him, he don't scare. That's a big shot. Huge shot. He come to tell him it's quiet in there now. There you go, Trae the Barge. You let him know. Spike, he definitely looked quiet.
It's fun. We're in the Mecca. We're in New York City, Times Square. Ain't no bigger stage, so it's fun playoff.
That's the real way for you to offend New Yorkers, by the way. You're saying something like Madison Square Gardens in Times Square, because New Yorkers expect everybody to fully understand where everything is in this city, even though people don't live here. Izzy, are you intrigued?
I am, but I don't remember what I was going to say because now you've just got me singing DeBarge stuff to the beat of the rhythm of the whole time. Every time I see him now, it's all I'm going to hear.
You mentioned agreeing with the mayor is never a way to make friends here. Like when you're also echoing those comments, wasn't that Andrew Yang that got roasted for saying his favorite subway station was Times Square? That's exactly how Trae Young sounded in that clip. It's not going great right now.
Gotta say, by the way, Yang was right. There are normally good entertainers at Times Square, and there is a record store.
Oh no, Bomani, what's happening?
I mean, it's miserable otherwise, but what is your favorite subway station? Ain't none of them no highlight.
Tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern, Game 2, Grizzlies and Jazz.
Yo, the Mountain Time Zone, where basketball interest goes to die. The Jazz, the number 1 seed, they're down 1-0, and there is beef between their star player and the front office. Nobody cares, B. Anyway, let's get a look at Rudy Gobert, engaging in a little bit of chicanery. Yes. That is an amazing flop.
Wow, what a recreation.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no.
Kyle Anderson, no less. He's having us believe that Kyle Anderson just Hulk smashed him to the ground. Izzy, are you intrigued?
Oh, I'm very intrigued. I'm actually doing sidelines for Game 3, so I'll be laser focused on this Game 2. Dillon Brooks, Ja Morant, probably the most entertaining backcourt in the playoffs right now, right?
Something to be said for that. Golic, you intrigued?
I am intrigued, mostly because of the beef that you just mentioned. Donovan Mitchell just agitated enough to get the hope. Shout out to my producer and your former producer, Bomani Shannon Penn, lifelong diehard Knicks fan, just wishing and hoping that Donovan Mitchell gets mad enough at the whole situation to want to come hang out at Madison Square Garden.
I had not thought of that. I was running through potential places for him and completely forgotten that the Knicks matter again. All right, that is our show. Izzy about to be doing courtside in Memphis pretty soon. They got good barbecue. Mike Golic Jr., 4 to 7 Eastern, ESPN Radio, Janae and Golic.
The right time with Bomani Jones, wherever you get your podcasts. Got it right today.